Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Astrology. We're just going to talk about the full moon up and coming in the sign of Scorpio. This moon falls at 11 degrees and I'm down here in the southern hemisphere, so for us it peaks on the 2nd of the 5th, 26, just after May Day. And so for those who know their charts, if you have 11 degrees, sun, moon and ascendant, as well as the nodes, then I think you'll definitely be feeling this moon. And Scorpio moons obviously are quite powerful, and depending on the nature of your chart and what sect you're born in, whether you're diurnal or a nocturnal chart, will play a significant part as well. But with the full moon in Scorpio, is actually in fall, it doesn't sit so well in the sign of Scorpio, but that doesn't mean if you have that in your natal chart it's all doom and gloom on an emotional level. It can play out in a number of ways depending obviously what's aspecting your moon. But with this moon there can be like fatal adjustments and deep cleansings that will really happen under this full moon. And Scorpio is a deep and resilient sign, and it has a tendency to react intensely, passionately, and usually with controlled emotional power, right? You've got to remember the sign, the Scorpio is ruled by fixed water. It's like an ice pick. And so it's very intense, it's very fixed, and sometimes I guess the metaphor, what I was saying about the ice pick is, you chip away at it like ice, because sometimes it can be that way when Scorpio's been stung. It can take a little bit of time to resolve the issue. Now I'd also like to point out, because I use a lot of degrees or degree theory in my astrology, so if you're born at if your moon's at 8 degrees or 20 degrees Scorpio, doesn't kind of matter what sign your moon's expressing through, but it would have a Scorpio flavor to your moon as well, which will be important to consider, particularly for those who know their birth natal charts. So speaking of fixed water, I mean, the negative signs of Scorpios, the emotions can be turbulent, they can be complex, they can be fixed, and they can also be, obviously, when it's quite fixed, it's difficult to sanitize the psyche after we've been hurt or the feelings have been quite intense. They can take a little bit of time to process and let go of, as opposed to, say, the mutable signs in astrology. So themes that can come up under this full moon will be emotional intimacy, joint resources, and of course the Scorpio is a resourceful sign, and it's ruled by Mars and the more modern day ruler Pluto, but it's deeply connected to finances as well, in my opinion, because Pluto rules wealth as well, not just Venus. But also this moon will expose hidden truths, right, that's been held within or been brewing under the surface for a period of time. And of course Scorpio is all about looking under the surface of things. So this is the reason why this moon will play out to be quite potentially intense for a lot of people. And the moon's at 11 degrees, which is an Aquarian degree, and Aquarius rules the collective and revolution. So this can be a time of revolutionary healing individually as well as collectively, and hidden truths can get revealed at this time, which will be ready to be released and transformed and let go of. So wherever the spotlight is in your birth natal chart, this is where things can really come to the forefront, from the depth of your own psyches and beings out to the surface level around this moon time, and things will get revealed, right? And we've got to remember Scorpio really rules the detective mind, particularly those who've got a Mercury in Scorpio placement. But the moon in Scorpio, it's not, when we talk about fall, it can be unfavorable, so to speak, but in my opinion, it just really means there's lessons learned, and we can become extremely emotionally resilient after things we've gone through, traumas or whatever it is we've needed to go through in life to make us more of a holistic being, because this is what all these periods are really all about when it comes to the moon. And I think Scorpio moons is deeply transformative, and that's our those born natally with a moon in Scorpio is one of their missions in life, to really transform and really let go of old emotional patterns, which can be ancestral, right? Because the moon does rule ancestry, and Scorpio is deeply connected to alchemy, so it's about clearing, possibly hitting rock bottom, and then rising above like the phoenix from the ashes to regenerate ourselves into something that is more authentic and aligned with our own inner self, or our imperial self that they call in Taoism. So I always look at the stems and branch combination with this kind of stuff, because of course I always look at Chinese astrology. So the stem and branch combination for the month is interesting because it's the yin metal snake, and metal is particularly cool and cold, and I guess as an element from a Chinese astrological point of view can be considered fixed, right? Because the metal element has a form of armoring that is a protective layer from not letting people really get too close to us and open up vulnerably, which I think a Scorpio moon can play out on that level. And the stem and branch combination, actually, this one is one of the 6 intelligent days in Chinese astrology. And of course, I think Scorpio is connected to quite a high level of intelligence, because some of the greatest researchers I know, or people I've observed over the years, have prominent Scorpio, phenomenal researchers. But this stem and branch combination, which a lot of people really don't know, is firstly, like I said, it's one of the 6 intelligent days, but it's also connected to what's what they call a sneaky smart pillar. So people and a very, very good strategic mind that's applied to this stem and branch combination, and it is definitely one of those pillars in Chinese astrology that has an element of depth and will definitely look below the surface of things, right? And there's quite a talent for doing this, and there's quite a few people I've looked at over the years, and I still am a big fan of Wilhelm Reich, who actually was born on one of these days, and there's many other examples of this. Psychologists who have this yin metal snake day, which is incredibly intelligent and very a very good strategic mind, like I said before, and an ability to penetrate below the surface and look into things at a deep level. Now, of course, I always look at the tarot combination, and this full moon is connected to the second decan of Scorpio, the 6 of Scorpio, known as the 6 of Cups in the tarot, which has connects to the frequency of the sun. And this card is all about the past and reminiscing about the past. It can be past romantic people coming in and partners and things like this, or just being a little bit more nostalgic and reflecting on things or people from the past. But old connections can resurface, I'd say, during this full moon. And some may be reminiscing about the past. But this card is also connected to creative imagination, magnetic charm, showmanship, and staying power, actually. And the 6s are really connected to ambition, leadership, and egocentricity. So the Scorpio sixes carry the seed of success, right? So I think full moons are about shedding, really, and putting Aries on the spotlight, and or completions of things in certain areas that started up from the last new moon 6 months ago up until this point in time now. And I'd say one of the negative sides of this card, the character can be proud, intolerant, cruel, inconsiderate, and actually ruthless, which is most people who've experienced a Scorpio in their life, or people who know the Scorpio moons, can be a little bit like this. And their one desire to succeed or gain possession of what they want or get their own way by imposing their will on others, right, can be quite ruthless. So, and this desire can be so strong that it can outweigh anything else, especially kindness or justice. So I think whatever it is we're experiencing in this moon, because as that saying, like, Scorpios don't get mad, they get even. It's important to stay balanced with this moon, process and balance the emotions. And the sixes, especially this card, seems to contain the greatest creative power. So I'd say, in connection with this moon, the positive force of the frequency of the sun that's connected to this moon is really going to help us process our own shadows at this time around this Scorpio full moon. And I'm doing this quite a few days before the moon, and I can already feel the energies connected to this one, because it's already feeling like it's going to be pretty powerful. I've already had a few sleepless nights, which I tend to do, 5 or 4 days before the moon actually is, before it's about to peak. But this moon is, like I said, ruled by Mars, so the placement of Mars is really important to pay attention to, as well as Pluto, which is more of the modern day ruler of Scorpio. And of course is still significant on some level, I think. And Pluto's in a separating square from the moon, whilst Jupiter is in aspect by trine. So, and there's obviously other aspects more going on with this, but these are the ones I will focus on, and I may talk about some of the other ones just as I go through all the 12 rising signs. Aries rising will be having this full moon, in the 8th house. This will be a time of psychological breakthroughs at this time, and with Mars in the first, you'll be motivated to release them. When the Mars energy goes into the first house, it will really want to make you be motivated, extremely motivated. And with Saturn there, because Saturn's in Aries as well, so we can get a little bit more serious about life as well. But so the 8th house, of course, rules joint finances, and the Jupiter is trine the moon from the 4th house. So it can be a time of paying off debts to do with your home, because the 4th house is connected to the home, which can lead to great emotional changes, right? The 8th house can make us really want to pay off debts, and anything to do with joint finances and things like this. But I'd say in that combination with Jupiter in connection to the 4th, then there will be an element of wanting to really pay off something to do with the home. And we can be quite motivated to do this with Jupiter there. So with Jupiter transiting the 4th, you may want to expand your home, or realize that you need more space and land, because when Jupiter transits this house, sometimes we may want to move to a place that has more space, more land, and we just kind of feel like we need more space in the home. So the 8th house is obviously connected to your partner, and we may take maybe discussions around pulling financial resources together to make this happen, to make the change within the home. And the 8th house is connected to loans, taxes, and financial limits, so an honest conversation with your partner around these issues will be discussed in terms of what you need in support of financially and emotionally in regards to what you can afford to do at this time, whether that be renovations, changing residence, and things like this. So definitely what's on the cards for you guys will be psychological breakthroughs, as the 8th house is quite a deep house, and it's one of the house where we become motivated in a way to shed some of our psychological issues as well, which will help us create more abundance in our life. Taurus will be having this full moon in the 7th house, the house of relationships, which can be emphasized at this time. There can be defining moments, culminations, or deep-seated emotions can surface to be released at this time. Mars rules this moon in the 12th, which can indicate time away from a partner, or you need to have space to do inner work that can help redefine your relationship. There's a chance to deepen a connection if already in a relationship. If single, people can get married, engaged, or meet significant others. It can also indicate turning points in relationships if they are not met with depth and psychological awareness that a moon in Scorpio needs. There are indications that something in your private life may become public with the moon squaring Pluto in the 10th house. The trine from Jupiter in the 3rd also suggests an easy flow of communication and somewhat optimistic when it comes to communicating your relationship needs at this time. So there'll be a lot of conversations and emphasis on relationships around this time for the Taurus, and particularly with Pluto in this house as well, when the private life, what I was saying, may become more public, but I think Pluto in this house there can be great transformations in the workplace. That is either you get made redundant, or there's some change that comes, or all of a sudden you may have a blow up when it comes to your career. Gemini will be having this full moon in the 6th house. Your workspace, daily schedule, pets, health, and habits come under the spotlight. This is the house of service. The planet Mars is transiting year 11, so pay attention to social habits and whether they are affecting your health, as Mars in this house can fire up the social calendar. So there can be lots of activity going on at this time. It's a good time to assess your own health and shed any negative habits that no longer serve you, especially dietary, as in oral fixations, to suppress your feelings, right? Because a lot of people emotionally eat, and to suppress feelings. So the diet is a very good thing to examine at this point. Full moons in the 6th can also bring employment opportunities, and with Mars in the 11th, you may have work within groups or manifest to work within groups, and with the square to Pluto in the 9th house, there can be travel to foreign lands. And I just say on that level, with Pluto in the 9th, the travel can be to dangerous places. I've seen this many times in people's charts, and they've had to work and go to places that are pretty dodgy and not actually safe, but in countries that have had their fair share of trauma. And if this is the case, and you do have to do that kind of foreign travel, then it will definitely be transformational at this time. Cancer will be having this full moon in the 5th house. This can be a time of completing a creative project of some kind. With Mars in the 10th, you could be launching this creative project out into the world or start your own business. The trine to Jupiter in the 1st can be a good time for optimistic self-expression, especially when it comes to dating. There can be soul-aligned transformation when it comes to the full moon with the square aspect to Pluto, indicating powerful feelings when connecting to others. The moon in the 5th can suggest a chance the moon in the 5th can suggest a chance for some to find out that they are pregnant at this time, because pregnancies are possible, especially with the 5th house. And children can be under the spotlight under this full moon and can potentially act more with emotional intensity than usual for those who have children. Leo will be having this full moon in the 4th house, the house of home, family, roots, and property. So the moon naturally associates with the 4th house and is usually comfortable here. This can be changes with your career, as the sun is in opposition to the 10th house, squaring Pluto in the 7th, also indicating relationships will play a part in these changes, which can be dramatic. With the planet Mars in the 11th house, you may not be spending as much time at home or possibly thinking about moving. Relationship deconstruction will be going on under this full moon in connection to what is going on in the family unit. Family secrets can be revealed in order to heal. Living changes and relationship changes are on the forefront. Pluto can be helpful in the 7th house, indicating help from a therapist in navigating deeper issues that need to be worked through at this time. Or it can be a helpful partner if they have done their own psychological homework. If they have not, there will be problems which will not work in your favor. And usually, obviously, when anyone meets Pluto in the 7th house, there can be forms of malignancy and confrontations with the shadows with another. So it's important to have done your psychological inner homework at this time. Virgo will be having this full moon in the 3rd house, the house of communication, the mind, vehicles, short distance travel and short courses. Local connections can get activated at this time, as well as connections to do with your siblings. So Mars is currently transiting your 8th house, so there can be battles to do with inheritance or wills, which may come under the spotlight and need to be discussed with siblings or your partner. There could also be changes to do with your joint finances at this time. Mercury in conjunction to Chiron in the 8th can be healing. There can be a healing conversation to do with joint resources. And these conversations can lead to a positive mindset when it comes to tackling your finances. And Pluto is square your moon from the 6th, challenging you to transform your mindset in some way to do with daily routine, health, and healing. Libra will be having this full moon in the 2nd house. Inner resources, self-esteem, and finances are being highlighted at this time. Big purchases and financial transactions can happen with this full moon in the 2nd. Mars is transiting your 7th house, so the financial decisions that are being decided will need to be met by partners, that being intimate or professional. The moon trine Jupiter in the 10th can indicate spending to expand your career through business partners. Pluto is square the moon from the 5th house, challenging you to use your power of creativity to assist in bringing another source of income, or to use your creative ideas to level up your finances in some way. Big money breakthroughs are possible during this full moon, that is for sure. Scorpio will be having this full moon in the 1st house, so this is a big one. This is a personal placement for the full moon, as a personal rebirth can take place. The 1st house is you, your body, your image, and the way you project yourself out into the immediate environment. Jupiter is trine the moon from the 9th house, indicating the need to travel and expand your philosophical horizons. Mars is transiting your 6th house in connection to daily habits, health, and service. You have to be mindful of not burning the midnight candle at both ends. With the planets Saturn and Mars in the 6th house, it's time to pay attention to your health. Physical fitness with Mars in the 6th can definitely help process the intense emotion, especially with the moon in the 1st house, which represents the body. So we've got to remember too, the body is the shadow of the psyche. So whatever we're going through, it's good to move your body, get physically fit. It helps process the emotion. Pluto squaring the moon from the 4th house can indicate a deep emotional cleansing to do with ancestral roots and the family home environment. Sagittarius will be having this full moon in the 12th house, the house of rest, sleep, hidden enemies, healing spaces, and the psyche. The spotlight will be on the unconscious and a good time to release and shed some skeletons out of the closet. Privacy will be important for you during this full moon and a good time to rest and reflect and do some inner homework. The trine to Jupiter in the 8th house will indicate a huge psychological shedding around this full moon. Mars transiting your 5th house can indicate some kind of creative breakthrough that may get downloaded through your dreams. Mars can also bring more passion when it comes to dating and romance. There can be a spiritual insights at this time as well as some inner child healing during this full moon. Capricorn will be having this full moon in the 11th house, the house of friends, communities, networking, hope, and hopes and wishes. The 11th house is also about your goals, so you may have completed a goal that you've set for yourself at the last new moon in Scorpio. The square aspect from Pluto to the 2nd house can indicate being more conservative with your money, especially when it comes to going out with friends. It can also expose some drama with friends and group dynamics, or you are extremely selective with who you spend your time with. There will be community and network shifts when it comes to this full moon. There's a chance to meet someone if you're single with Jupiter trine the 7th house, so stay optimistic. Could potentially be a foreigner too, having Jupiter there. Mars in the 4th house suggests lots of activity in the home environment. Social events within the home are on the cards at this time, which may be a burden to organise actually, especially with Saturn there. It can be a lot of planning when it comes to this. So a good time to hopefully manifest your goals that you've been working on for the Capricorn. Aquarius will be having this full moon in the 10th house. This is an important time when it comes to your career and public status. So your career, public status, and image are getting lit up at this time. The square aspect from Pluto from the 1st is not easy, and you probably felt pressure to transform and reinvent yourself when it comes to your career. The planet Mars in the 3rd house can indicate spending time writing, communicating, along with the planet Saturn disciplining the mind and brushing up communication skills. A good time to refresh your resume at this time, as well as upgrading websites and podcasts. The trine aspect to Jupiter from this moon indicates being more optimistic within your daily work routine. If in the process of changing career, this can be an optimistic time for new employment. Pisces will be having this full moon in the 9th house. This can be a time of travel, meeting with mentors, publishing, legal matters, graduations, and looking at the world on a grand scale. Mars is currently transiting your 2nd house, indicating you'll have money to spend on travel, legal fees, or education. Travel can bring joy, creativity, and romance, as Jupiter is trine the moon from the 5th house. The planet Pluto is in aspect in the 12th house. Trine Venus from the 4th house, suggesting transformational healing of values that can take place within the family unit. Soul level insight can come in with Pluto square the 12th house, transforming your worldview and philosophical ideas. For those who set new intentions from the last new moon in Scorpio, particularly around publishing, because I had a few clients who, I said patients because I do Chinese medicine, obviously, but I had a few clients, astrological clients, who had been working on books, who had a Pisces rising, and they're actually prepping up to get published. So it is a good time to publish the work if it's ready to put out there. Anyway, that's my take on the Scorpio moon, and there's a few other talks I'm going to do. I've just been so busy, actually. I've been trying to do something a week, but weeks tend to get away from me because I'm getting very busy in clinic. So I'm trying to get some more different ideas out there for you guys. So anyway, thanks for listening, and We'll see you in the next one.